My take on XYZ-Machines. This deck has a union-based strategy, meaning we combine the three main monsters of the deck by either equipping them onto one another, or alternatively we go into the fusion monsters by banishing at least two different XYZ main deck monsters. This is historically the introduction of contact fusion in Yu-Gi-Oh! The three main deck monsters are XYZ Cannon, of which we play 3 of. Due to not being searchable as well as having the highest attack stat among all XYZ main deck monsters. Next up is White Dragonhead and double Z Metal Tank. I will not go over the union effects, as we normally prefer going into one of the fusion monsters instead. If we have all three X, Y and Z monster on board, we can contact fuse into the 2800 attack boss monster XYZ-Dragon Cannon. Who has a built-in Raigeki break effect that is not once per turn. Bringing him out in the early game is highly unlikely, but there are ways to swarm the board in a prolonged state of the game with X, Y and Z monsters, which I will touch upon in a second. First, I want to introduce you to the three smaller XYZ fusion monsters that only require two different XYZ main deck monsters to be contact fusioned. Hence, we will rather go into them during the early game. A combination of X and Z leads to XYZ-Dragon Cannon. By ditching one card, we are allowed to destroy one face-down spell or trap card. And like all of the XYZ fusion monsters, he's not once per turn. A contact fusion of X and Y leads to XY-Dragon Cannon, who destroys face-up spells and traps. And finally we play YZ-Dragon Cannon, Tank Dragon, that gets rid of face-down opposing monsters. Contact fusion materials are being banished. Therefore, we can utilize this in a late state of the game by using either Dimension Fusion, or better yet, return from a different dimension to special as many of our banished monsters as possible back to the field, only to go into another contact fusion monster. White Dragonhead and Z Metal Tank are searchable by Shining Angel and Sangan. For some other filler light or dark machine type monsters, we play double Dekoichi, one Reflect Bounder, as well as one Jinzo. All of which are potential targets for limiter removal, which we triple on. Next I play one Tribe-Infecting Virus, one Sinister Serpent, and one Breaker the Magical Warrior. In this deck we have roughly a dozen light attributes and roughly half a dozen dark attribute monsters. Therefore I opted to play one Lackluster Soldier Envoy of the Beginning. And next up are some stable spells and traps. I played Trunade, Pot of Greed, Graceful Charity, Delinquent Duo, Snatch Steal, Premature Burial, Double Knock, Nobleman of Crossout, one Mystical Space Typhoon, one Heavy Storm, double Giant Trunade, one Lightning Vortex, one Mirror Force, one Torrential Tribute, one Ring of Destruction, and finally one Call of the Haunted. That's it for the deck, and as always the deck list can be found in the video description. Thank you for watching.